I'm not even fucking hungry and shit. This is fucking great. So it's day 3 of my fast. I just finished my overnight in Pulaski, New York, and now I'm heading to Sandy Beach Island. It fucking rained last night, but it is supposed to not rain anymore today. It's moving out, whatever the storm system is. So I had to spend the morning drying out the tent that I didn't use. I slept in there, and it fucking... I slept like a baby. I slept from like midnight all the way till 10:30 a.m. So that's pretty awesome. The fast is going smoothly. There's no temptation. We see when you're out here in the fucking, middle of nowhere. Well, not the Pulaski's in the middle of nowhere, but when you're like away from a toxic, fucked up food environment, and you can't just go into the other room and open up the fridge or stop while you're driving around to Taco Bell, then you're not gonna eat, And I didn't get a hunger pang last night. I had my coffee. One thing that I found that was new that I hadn't done before, I took some pink Himalayan salt and I put it in the coffee, and of course that was too salty. It was like drinking salt water. So then I thought, wait a minute, what if I put some stevia erythritol in there to sweeten it? So I have a little sweet, salty thing going. So I did that, and it was almost like a meal, it felt like. I think sometimes when we get those hunger pangs while we're fasting, it might be the body trying to say, hey, asshole, how about some salt? Been sweating like a motherfucker outside all day. You might want to, work on that. Also, interesting to note, and I was worried that this was going to happen, is I did not have any cramps. When I woke up, this morning, my legs were fine, my feet were fine. I have cramps fairly often because I don't keep up with my electrolytes enough, and I need to start working on that more, I think, on a normal day-to-day basis. But I don't know if it's because I'm fasting that it's caused the cramping to stop, or if it's because I did the salt solution. There is potassium in coffee, and I probably get a little more of that because I'm using a percolator, so some of the grounds get mixed in, so who knows how many grounds I'm taking in. But it works. And another thing I discovered is I have this thermos that I think I got from Walmart that is a 24-hour hot cool thermos, and I made coffee last night, put it in that thermos, and it was still hot this morning. So for those of you looking for a way to do coffee on your fasting excursions, that 24-hour thermos is the way to go. So now I'm going to finish drying that chair out because I left that out in the rain like a dumbass last night. I just now finished drying the tent off, and then I'm going to hit the road and see what I can do. I'll probably stop and fill that thermos up with coffee so I don't have to do the percolator thing, at least not till I have to do the percolator thing. But it's nice to know that I have the option now to make coffee out in the wild. It did take a while though, so I don't know how long the propane cylinder is going to last. So we'll see how that goes. See, learning shit on this trip, so I can take even longer trips. in the future. Maybe stay out months, maybe stay out the whole winter, I don't know. These things can happen. But I'm having a great trip. I sat with the fire last night. Not a soul in this campground. I was not disturbed. In fact, at times it was a little spooky being in the woods. I mean, it got pitch black over here. And the only light that was around me was light coming from me. So that's sobering, you know, because I haven't done this kind of thing that often. You know, I've camped obviously, but never like solo and remote and that kind of stuff. And I wasn't supposed to be experiencing that. I figured there'd be more people here, but I guess it's good prep for when I'm in the Adirondacks, and that scenario is much more likely, along with some more aggressive wildlife. Another thing that I need to solve is the bug problem. The DEET works great. That keeps the mosquitoes away. However, there's some deer flies or black flies that like to orbit your fucking head constantly. And they seem to only come at you while you're moving, like when you're walking. If you stop walking, they don't seem to bug you, so to speak. But when you're like walking, which is what I'm going to be doing a lot of, them motherfuckers will be all over your ass. So one of the guys, the groundskeepers here, recommended I pick up a bug net and a hat, and I think I need to get me a hat to get out there. So I'm gonna look around for one while I'm in civilization. So today's Sandy Beach. I don't know where I'm sleeping yet. That's gonna be a car camping somewhere probably deal, so I don't spend a lot of money, because I know it's gonna cost money to park at Sandy Beach. Unless they got a cheap campsite, then I might camp there. I don't know, we'll see. But that's part of the adventure. It's windy as fuck here, so I don't know how this is gonna come out. But I managed, even in this smaller beach, and it is a little bit on the small side, this park, to find a secluded spot just to hang out. I'm gonna eventually go and swim. Nobody wants to see that. The fasting's going well though. I'm not hungry yet. I did have fat this morning though. On my way out, I stopped and got heavy cream for my coffee. I don't know how I feel about swimming in water this close to a nuclear power plant. I know it really doesn't matter. I mean, if it's gonna pollute, it's gonna pollute the whole fucking lake. It's right there. It's like you can look at it while you're in the water. So before I jump my ass in the water, I thought I would come to a more secluded area of the park to vlog and talk at the camera and shit. The great thing about doing this during the day on a fucking Tuesday is there's not a lot of people here. And I'm starting to notice that about state parks. You know, don't go on the weekends. It's a bad idea and shit. Got my coffee that I bought this morning that should still be hot and shit. So I'm on day... Shit, what day is it? Day 3. So I'm on day 3 of my water/fat flexible wilderness fast. As in, I'm not being, you know, too caught up in whether or not I have a fat fast or a water fast day. I did have some fat this morning, so I'm about 70 hours fasted total. I feel great. No hunger pangs yesterday, despite being moderately physically active. I mean, I was sawing wood and shit for the fire because I ran out of firewood. And then, you know, I went in down to the river a little bit. You know, I was fairly active, but it was a peaceful day. It was all definitely moderate, not intense activity. I'm trying to avoid high intensity. There was a bit of a climb at one point, but I seem to be doing all right so far. But I'm not to the most difficult part of the journey, which is going to be starting tomorrow when I enter the Adirondacks and start hiking a little bit more remote areas. The first hike I'm going to do is, I believe, Gleesman Falls, which is it's a day hike, it's not a major hike, and then I was going to try and find a place to park. That's the only thing I'm worried about is, you know, am I going to get fucked with for stealth camping by the park rangers or whatever? I don't know. You're allowed to camp in public lands if you backpack in, so there's that. But other than that, by the way, this is a minimalist video. Before you tune out, I just wanted to give everybody who's watching the series an update before I get into the topic of this video. But, you know, we'll just have to see, and I'll figure it out. So far, this trip has been fucking excellent. So far, the amount I've spent on this trip, I spent $15 for the campsite yesterday, and I spent about $4 in gas total. Some of that was driving around town and gathering supplies and going to that park that you saw in the first video. So all of that was on the same tank of gas, plus running the car all night for a good while too. I was, you know, I went to bed around midnight and woke up at 10:30 in the morning, so the car was running the whole time. Did get a little bit nervous because at one point it said battery key low. So if I go in the Adirondacks and nobody finds me, that's probably why. All in all, this fast is going a lot better, I believe, than it would if I were back home, you know, with access to food, with an easy road trip down to the grocery store if I'm hungry, you know, and cave in. Whereas out here, it's a little harder to come by shit. So if you're looking to do a longer fast, and I realize some of you, and that's going to be where we come in on the minimalist part of this, but if you're struggling to do a longer fast and you want, you know, like you cave in and or you feel like shit, first of all, if you feel like shit, the rule of thumb is always stop the fast. I know some people think that you're supposed to plow through that, thinking that you're detoxing, but don't plow through that shit, because it could be your body trying to let you know you're deficient in something that's very important. I'm going to continue with the salt and mixed with stevia erythritol coffee for my sodium content for the day. You do have to do that every day if you have problems with any kind of cramps or anything. But if I miss a day, you know, the worst case scenario is I get my leg and foot cramps, which could happen if I'm hiking. Some people have warned me that this is probably gonna fuck me at some point, that I'm gonna have to end the fast. And I do have enough calories on hand to break the fast if I need to. And it's not a long fast, you know, 7 days is not a big deal. It's definitely not a life-threatening length of fast. 21 days in doing this, I probably wouldn't, unless I had like a lot more body fat than I do now. I'm already noticing more definition in the belly area, so things are just improving on this fast already. So it boils down to, don't do this long fast unless you know you can. You've done a supervised one, you know all the things you got to do, you know when to stop, you have enough body fat to support it, because below a certain level of body fat you're anorexic, and you know, as far as fasting. And also don't fast too often. And you know, last but not least, definitely not least, make sure you do an appropriate refeed period and shit. So the main topic of the video for today is minimalism. Not too long ago I put out a minimalist video that generated quite a few comments. I'm going to try and get to some of those in this video, but I wanted to, a lot of the questions I got were from people, first of all, if you love your job and you're happy in your 9 to 5, go home to your baller house lifestyle, this video is really not for you. This video is for people like myself who were miserable in their job, hated giving all of their time away to the corporate world and not getting time like I'm doing right now to themselves to enjoy life and to pursue work that's they're passionate about that doesn't pay as well. It won't support their lifestyle as it currently stands. And that's why I share this stuff with you, is because it's important to really take stock of what's important to you in life. Is it a huge house filled with shit, or is it time, freedom, the ability to spend time with friends and family, the ability to do the things that you think are important and to monetize those, to support your way of life. And so I wanted to kind of do a video where I answer the question, any advice to go about doing this. It's kind of an advice video today. So the first thing that you can do, don't quit your job yet. Don't quit your fucking job yet. You have to start prepping. And I'm going to go over what I did as we progress, but don't quit your job. The first thing that I really did on my journey was I got rid of shit. If I didn't use it, it went. I got rid of furniture. I got rid of fucking all kinds of shit that I knew I wasn't going to need, because I'm going to live in a much smaller space. I'm going to occupy less square footage in my future, and indeed I've accomplished that. And when you do that, you reduce the need to have a huge house, a huge apartment. In my case, when I did this, I was moving into a truck and putting some stuff in storage while I was living in the truck. And you can go back and see the videos where I lived in the truck. But even then, I was still giving all my time to the man, doing the things that he wanted me to do. Now, granted, I did get a little bit more time to get out to Memphis, I believe I went, and Nova Scotia. Those are 2 trips where I got 2 or 3 days to hang out and really enjoy my time out there. But still, the majority of it was going where they wanted me to go and having a limited time frame to do things. And I wanted to get away from that. So that's one of the reasons I left trucking. Not to mention, no freedom, plenty of money though. And because I had become minimalist and spent more time in the truck and got rid of a bunch of shit, I got to keep more of that money that, and it allowed me to prepare by saving, which is another step you need to accomplish. You need to have, if you're going to be doing things that you're passionate about to make money, or work from home style or gig economy type businesses where you get paid based on your effort and ability, then you need to have a pad, a savings, even if it's just $1,000. You'll be surprised once you become minimalist how long you could stretch $1,000 emergency fund. Ideally, you want 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund to cover you when shit goes wrong. But if you could just start out with having $1,000, which is about roughly what I started out with. I think I had $1,500 when I started out in savings. But I had already had some of my income streams going before I quit, including this YouTube channel. Building a savings, and also, and this may have to come first, I did this years ago, and that's reduced my debt to damn near nothing. You need to get rid of the debt. The debt is the biggest thing enslaving you. You have to go to work for the man to pay the debt for shit that you spent years ago, some of which you probably don't even remember what you spent it on, that they're charging exorbitant interest rates on, and each dollar that you give them in interest is time that you are giving your employer to pay them. And because it's some number on an obscure card in some account somewhere, you don't really equate it to the amount of time that you spend in a week making money, hourly rate. You can figure this out mathematically if you do the math. You know, you could be spending 2-3 days of your work week just to pay the interest on the debt that you owe. I'm very careful with debt nowadays. It has to be very low interest or no interest if I even bother to go in debt at all. I do carry a couple $1,000s in debt, but they're to zero interest situations. People that loaned me money that I slowly pay back, and, you know, no interest, no bank involved really. And I'm just fortunate enough that I have some people in my life that are willing to loan me that kind of money. And I have that as a backup plan in case my savings ever runs out too. So there's that. And, you know, you really want to take stock of all the financial security that you can do without continuing to enslave yourself. So prepare. Get rid of the debt. This might take a few years for some of you, you know, and... You know, I have a bankruptcy deep in my past, so I've been fucked up with debt my whole life. So it made it easier when you file bankruptcy. No one's lining up to loan you money. But I got in trouble with credit cards early on, and it was probably a good thing that I did, because I would probably still be relying on plastic today had I not learned the hard lesson back then. So get rid of them credit cards and shit. They're holding you down. They're forcing you to work even more so. The other thing, big expensive fucking mortgage. That is the biggest slavery tool that is in modern society. It's not even a good investment anymore unless you're in certain cities where real estate prices are fucking largely inflated, but that bubble could pop at any time and you could be left holding the bag, and we've already seen it happen. Obviously, if you're happy with your house, I'm not saying that, but there's so much smaller ways to own that don't require $150,000 to $200,000 to $500,000 to $1 million fucking mortgages that you're going to have to spend the majority of your life paying down. For me, I live in a single room, I pay $200 a month for that room, or I live in that car. Those are the options. And you got to do that. You got to weigh those options. Because if you have all of this debt hanging over your head, and that's including a mortgage, then you have to go and do the shit that isn't going to, unless you're really lucky and one of the entrepreneurial things you chose just takes off, you're going to have to work some kind of 9 to 5 to pay that mortgage. It would be impossible for me to hold a mortgage right now. I do not make enough money. I make, anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 a year from multiple sources. YouTube's slowly growing to where I don't have to rely on my alternate sources as much, thanks to you guys and your contributions to the channel. Definitely not to YouTube's fucking ad revenue. You just gotta, all of the things that you do with money, including going through the mall and piling all kinds of collectibles and shit, or shit, a stack of DVDs when you probably don't even have time to fucking watch half of them. You watch them once, they go on the shelf and they sit there, which you can monetize, by the way. That's the first thing I did, is I sold all my DVDs. Because I knew if I really wanted to watch something, I could rent it for $4 or $5 via Google Play, Amazon Prime, or it'll pop up on Netflix. I do pay for Netflix, and I do watch Netflix quite a bit. And I watch YouTube for most of my entertainment. And to be quite honest, I don't have much more time to watch old movies. And you got to just think not only of the time investment to purchase those things, and the time investment for the square footage to store those things. You have to really start adding up how much of your work week, based on your hourly wage, do you have to spend to maintain all of that. So, getting rid of shit, downsizing your living space, paying off your debt, building a savings, and then the next thing, and this is something I've been doing for probably the last 4.5 years, is build a marketable skill. If you're good enough at it, you can make money with it. First thing I started working on was photography. I built that skill. Now, without even marketing, I get paid occasionally, not often because I don't market, to do client work. I'm not happy with client work, so I don't market. But I don't turn it down either. I don't say no. But people enjoy my work. They see it via the last person that paid for my work. And, I get, out of the blue, I'll get clients that say, hey, you did pictures for such and such. Could you do this for me? And if I worked harder at it and I was more passionate about client work, I would do that. I love photography, but I'm not a fan of the client work as much. I like creative. I like taking my time. And usually client work, you got to be on the ball, and you don't have time to really fuck around. And for me, the best photography I get to do is when I have time to fuck around. But when you're charging somebody an hourly rate for portraiture, you can't take your time. They're going to get pissed. So it stifles my creativity a little bit. And for me, photography is more about creative work. The great thing is it integrates nicely with my channel. That's the other thing. If all of your skills can interconnect in some way, then you can have a certain amount of symmetry. Like, I can use my photography here on YouTube to, make thumbnails, which I haven't been doing, but I have been doing on this trip, actually, or to really, accent a video and stuff like that. I could eventually sell digital images. I don't know if there's interest in that, but I haven't really been trying to do that yet. I've thought about it in the past, but lately not so much. So build your skills. And I'm not sitting here trying to say that it's going to be a life of leisure. Even when I'm out here on these road trips, which I know look very enticing. A lot of people are like, I'm jealous, I wish I could do that, I want to do that. And there's various things that people say that hold them back from it. Some people are just scared to be out here in the world because, our lovely media has painted the world to be this really, really, really dangerous place. And not to say that bad shit can't happen, but I don't think it's as high of a rate of it happening as people say. I find that most people I encounter out here in the wild, away from media, are decent people. Obviously in cities it's a little bit higher risk, but out here in the world, where people are afraid to be by themselves, I'd be more afraid to be by myself in a, camping in a downtown urban environment than I am out here in the wilderness, because I just know statistically it's less likely that something bad's going to happen. But I know that the videos I make sometimes make this look glorious and like I'm not working. Meanwhile, I'm here at the beach, and instead of sitting my ass on the beach, I'm sitting here filming this video. At some point in the next day or two, I have to dump all of this to my laptop. I have to sit down and edit those videos. That could take 6 hours of my day. Now, granted, I'll be doing it in a nice setting. I could sit here at this, in this park, throw my laptop out, start dumping the cards and editing video. Not a problem. I'll probably stop somewhere, where I can go inside and enjoy some air conditioning and sit down and just work and put some earbuds in and figure out, what I'm going to do with the video. Then I have to figure out how to upload. I have to render it, and that I'm going to be doing while I'm driving. I'll have the laptop plugged into the inverter, and I'll just leave it rendering while I'm driving, because I'll be doing a lot of driving on this trip. Adirondacks is not a small park. There's a lot of back roads, a lot of sketchy roads. So, I will be working. It's integrated into the things I want to do. And if you can set up your skill set to be able to do that, that is also a nice way to transition from the corporate world out here doing this kind of stuff. And you got to be willing to put up with a certain amount of discomfort. There's not a lot of room in that Prius. There's not. I'm trading comfort for efficiency and stretching my dollar bills, which I don't make a lot of, as far as they will go. And the more I do that, the longer I can stay out before I have to go back and start harvesting some more resources from my income streams. Set yourself up with some shitty work, too, to help fill in the gaps. Part-time is a lot for the man. Part-time for the man is a lot better than 70 hours a week for the man. So don't be afraid, but make it flexible scheduling to where you don't have to work. You can tell them, look, I'm not available this day or that day. And in my case, I use Uber the most. I do have a part-time job at a bar, and that's pretty flexible. Even if I had a regular night, I could feasibly say, look, I need one night off, a month here and there. Just go and do stuff like this, and still maintain a little bit of an income stream there. It's up to you how much you want to work, and that's the key. Also, as you progress, and this is what I've done, I continue to constantly evaluate purchases and downsize. If something sits a while, I try and sell it. I try and come up with different ways of making this work, of being more efficient. I sleep on a fold-out couch, for example. When I first started out, I had a single-size bed. But I wanted something that was dual function, that I could sit in. If somebody wanted to come over and hang out in my little room, I have it now set up to where I have a small pull-out couch that sleeps one. Become more efficient. The items you have should serve more than one purpose. Most of the stuff I have is both professional and creative and fun. So these are all things I integrate together. Like my drone, I can use it for my videos. But I also have fun doing that. You know what I'm saying? And you can't be lazy on this. You have to do your work. The money, if you don't work, you don't get money. It's that simple. So you have to do work. And by no means is this a quit your job and go be lazy as fuck video. You need to work on your skills constantly. If you're not actively earning money, you should be doing something to improve your ability to do that. So either you're learning or you're working. You're not sitting on a beach somewhere, living the high life, kicking back. And a lot of YouTubers that preach this lifestyle, that's mostly what they show you. They don't really show you a lot of the, I have to sit here for 8 hours in Starbucks and edit a fucking video, and then spend the entire night with my internet tied up on my phone, or because it's a 4K video that fucking takes all night to upload. They're not showing you that side, and that's a side you have to realize that is there, and maybe that'll dissuade you from wanting this lifestyle. But still, I still find that way better than, because I'm the boss of that, I'm in charge of that, I'm flexible. If I need time off, I can take time off. And if I need time for myself, I can do that. But you can't be lazy, and because your survival depends on it. It really does, You gotta do the work. And some would argue entrepreneurship and, doing businesses that you create is more work than working 9 to 5 for the man. So it's a question. And like I said before, this is not for everyone. I understand that. Not everyone wants to sleep in a Prius, or in a small room. And of course, I'm a solo creature. I don't have a relationship. I got a lot of friends. So this works for me, and that's who this video is for. Is for people that were in the same position I was in, and there's a lot of people, believe it or not. I got a lot of messages to this degree. you know, and some people are still trapped and they still feel like they can't get out of it, but you have to work on it. And it could take a few years to accomplish the goal. But don't wait till retirement age, because you don't know what's happening at retirement age. All the time you waste between now and retirement age, you don't get back. That's time gone. And the more time you can claim for yourself, even if you try this and fail and have to go back to work for the man, that's still time that you claimed, that you keep. And I've claimed a year so far, almost. It'll be a year next month, I believe. Little over. I think the end of August, beginning of September is when I left trucking. So that's time that I got. Even if I went back to trucking, I still got that year. And nobody's going to take that away. So that's the biggest thing. Some people can get by doing that too. Jump in and out of your industry of choice. Trucking is a fine industry to be able to do that if I wanted to. You know, I could go back, pile up a bunch of money for a year, and I've talked about this in the distant past when I was living in the truck. That was one of my goals, was to jump in, you know, make a shit ton of money, save it, and then jump out and do whatever the fuck I want. And it turns out what I want to do makes money, so I didn't have to really do that. And I hope that continues. If it fails, if YouTube goes belly up, my photography goes to shit, Uber goes bankrupt or gets hashtagged out of existence, then I can go back to trucking. My CDL didn't go anywhere. I'd have to start at the bottom again. But I would go into it with a whole minimalist mindset. I would pile up money and then get out. You know, in and out. And how you live and how efficient you are dictates how long you stay out before you have to go back. So there's that. It is what it is. One of the things you can do to decide if you want to keep a certain item, you know, or get rid of it, is to put it in a box that you don't have easy access to, preferably in your attic or basement. Pile shit on top of it. Make it difficult to get to it. Make it so that it takes work. And then if you don't go rummaging for that item within a month, chances are you don't fucking need it. And you can get rid of it. Sell it. Donate it. You know, the donating, to decide whether or not you want to donate or sell, you got to evaluate how much time is it and effort of your time is it going to take you to sell that, and is the amount of money you would get for it worth that time and effort? And if the answer to that's no, you take it over to the Goodwill and you give it to them or to Salvation Army or one of these other places. And if they don't take it, then you throw it in the trash and be done with it. And last but not least, have a fallback plan. There's no guarantee that if you embark on this that you will be able to accomplish it on the first run. I took a stab at just being a photographer, and a while back when I was in a relationship. That attempt failed because I did not, there were these famines I didn't prepare for, where I didn't have any income. There was a period of time where I had 4 clients lined up and they all canceled. And this is when I was actively marketing and trying to get the business going and build, a clientele. I had a very loyal client that backed out on me. Basically went and bought their own camera and started using, their friends to do their photography for them. And I can understand, maybe they just wanted to save money. And I wasn't charging an exorbitant amount of money at that time. So, that kind of hit me in the feels a little. But I knew I failed, and I got back in the truck as a result, And then when I went back and lived in the truck, that's after the relationship I was in failed. Because honestly, minimalism is a bit more difficult in the relationship unless you're with another minimalist. So that's pretty much all there is to this video today. I'm gonna go sit my ass on the beach now that my work is done. I might jump in the water and take my chances with those waves. Hopefully I don't drown. They got lifeguards on duty, so I'm not too worried. and continue my journey and my fast. Have felt no desire to break my fast. Haven't felt like shit at all. Things are going well. I don't know what I weigh, but I know the belly is shrinking. It was a little bit below 36 inches this morning. So I'm making progress in the right direction. I expect that to ramp up quite a bit when my hikes get a little more physical. And this swim's going to be a little physical. So that's where I'm at. But what the fuck do I know? Because I'm not an expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. Please like and subscribe for more shit. And I'll make all kinds of shit. If you found this video enlightening or helpful in any way, please go to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the virtual tip jar, which allows me to maintain this as an income stream and allows me to get out here in the world and show you guys around and show you how to do this and share. And hey, start your own YouTube channel. You never know. Maybe that's a hidden talent you have. I still am surprised at the amount of people that do follow my shit. It's humbling sometimes to know, and it's picked up. Like, I put a video up, and within the first day it gets 1,000 views now, which never used to happen. It used to take a week sometimes to get to 1,000 views. So I know my viewership has gone up, and my subscribers are slowly trickling up. But it is what it is. You can't make everybody happy. But as long as this is viable, I will continue to do this work even when I'm out here on the road and sharing this experience with you. I hope to take even longer excursions in the future as I refine and build this process up, but I still got my other obligations, my other income streams that kind of tether me to Syracuse for the time being. Until maybe I'm ready to spread my wings and fly and live in the car full time. I don't know. It's a possibility. As I get more and more used to this, and I just can't even, it's like something lifts away and freedom just fills me when I'm out here. I don't know what it is. I can't even fucking, I can't narrate it. I can't put words to the feeling I get while I'm out here. And it's almost constant. I'm not depressed or homesick, or any of those things. I don't feel pressure to do anything. I do it because I want to do it. So there's that. Next video will be in the Adirondacks, hopefully. And my trip there, which will be tomorrow, which will be day 4 of my Wilderness Fast. Which is part fat, part water. If I can get some fat, I'll get some fat. If I can't get some fat, it'll be water and black coffee. As far as while I'm out there in the remote areas, it's going to be a water fast and a black coffee fast, because I don't want to break into my food supplies, which are there for emergencies. I also don't want to tempt bears, so I might not even bring those food supplies, too far. Unless I'm planning a multi-night hike, I probably won't bring them out on the hike with me, just to be a little less tempting to bears. But we'll see. This could be a fail. I've never really done something like this before. But I'll share that shit with you guys, along with how the fast is continuing, whether or not I have to break it. If I have to break it, I'll find some restaurant somewhere out there. I'm sure there's some little tourist towns to eat at in the Adirondacks. But yeah, and I'm anticipating not having to spend much money other than the gas while I'm up there. So I'm gonna do one supply run tomorrow along the way and try and pick up some water, some extra water, a couple of jugs of water, just to have some water, potable water to wash shit out and do all of that. And just to make sure that everything's well. Maybe get a last dose of fat before I go to put in my coffee or something. So I'll be making another stop during the day tomorrow to resupply, make sure I got a full tank of gas, and see how this goes and shit. At some point during the nights, I will be starting to work on editing these videos, because I'll be, I won't be able to have a fire, I don't think. So I'll just be in the car, editing, doing my thing. Hoping nobody fucks with me for being in my car and doing my thing. I wish this was a freer country where I could do that and not have to worry about shit like that. Really makes you wonder when you're trying to car camp. Am I gonna get busted? Is this illegal? Anyways, have a nice motherfucking day and shit. It's fucking crazy and shit with a Prius. But supposedly there's free shit here, free camping and shit.